Okay, for today, something fun and exciting, Real Signature templates. So it's a bit of a niche feature that Real Signature provides, but it's one that I do find super useful and saves a lot of time. So it's one I'd like to get into and explain today for you. Okay, so here we are within Real Signature, and on the left here, you typically come to that home section. That's where you can see all the transactions, all the files that you're working with, ones that have been completed, ones that you're waiting for clients to sign. But just below it is the My Templates section. So I've clicked that and I'm now in this. Now, I have made a lot of templates for myself. If you're starting off, you're going to have nothing here. Another cool feature is I can make a template and then share it with anybody within Real. But usually what I'm doing is I'm sharing it with members on my team. So I make a template, I share it with them, and then it'll show up there on their section, shared with me. You see here, if they click that, it'll show all the ones that I've sent them. I haven't had anyone send one to me, so mine's blank. So these documents are BC Canada specific, but of course the process of making a template, of using one, applies to anything. So I'm just going to show you what I kind of use it for. So this is a property disclosure statement we use here in the province, or a PDS. Within one, you see that they're answering many questions, yes or no, or do not know. And for me to do this every single time for every single listing, like, look at how many answers there are. It probably took half an hour, 25 minutes to make this initially, but now I have it saved and I can just send it off. The other thing I do is, of course, I don't want these to be mandatory fields for them answering, is this strata lot insulated? Yes, no, does not apply. They have to select the right one. So every time you're putting this initial box down, you're also selecting a little box over here that says, no, it's not required, because it auto-populates in that it is required. So you can see how this takes a lot of time to initially make, but then saves a lot of time. The other thing that I do is I make it for one seller or for two sellers. And that's because for a property disclosure statement, I'll just have one seller answering each question yes or no. That's what's legal in our province. But then both will be initialing the bottom of each page. So that's why you'll see here there's duplicates. So here's a PDS, property disclosure statement, for strata, one seller. And then I have a PDS strata for two sellers. So that's case specific for where I am, but again, it is possible. So I'm going to show you how, firstly, to create a template, but then also, okay, now I have a saved template. How does that practically work when I send it to somebody? How do I use it? So first, we're just going to grab a random document, and I'm going to drag it here. We're creating a template. Now I have it. Now we see that on the right here, there's different options. So the first one is to share that, so I can send it to anybody again within Real or to my team members. I can download it or I can send it off to somebody, but I haven't done anything with it other than put it into my templates. So first let's edit it and then let's send it off to somebody. So here you're familiar with this. We're saying, well, who are we working with, buyers or sellers? So let's just say we're working with sellers, and in this one, it's just going to be one seller. I might do another one for two sellers, but this is one. We're going to go next. Now, it doesn't ask you for their name and their email address because that doesn't apply right now, right? We're working with a template that's going to be used for multiple people, so it's not going to ask that information. The first page requires nothing. On this second page, here's the consumer acknowledgement section. We're going to have them put their name. So I'm going to scroll down here to signee name and put it there. And then I'm going to go initials, click initials and put it there. And then I'm going to put the date box and put it there. So now that's all done. If I was working with a second seller, their name would be here. See, it's sender, that's me, but that doesn't apply. But the second seller would be here, and then I could put them there if that was appropriate. Now I go preview, takes me to the next page. It shows me where I've entered all the information, the name, the initial, the date box, and I could say, yep, that's good. Now you have two options. You can publish and start sending it to a client right now, but that's not what we're doing. We just want to publish it. Now I have it saved here. Now, perhaps I want to change the name. You can see how I have all these labels as one seller or two sellers. Let's do that. So let's edit that, and here it is right here. So I'll just call it DORT. That's an acronym that if you're not in my province, you won't be familiar with, so that's fine. I'll just say seller 1, and I'll click next. Preview, publish, and now it's been changed. And of course, you can add more sellers as a case-by-case scenario. Now, that was a really simple template that we created with a simple document. So let's use a more complicated document and actually send it to somebody and show how it applies. So let's use a property disclosure statement for Strata with one seller, and let's send it off in reality. Now, at this section, I can choose to apply it to a transaction if I want to. So perhaps I have a transaction already within reason. I can have it sent there so that when someone signs it, it will send the finalized signed document to my email, but it'll automatically also send it to reason within that transaction. It's actually a pretty nice step. Now we are determining who is it going to be sent to. So let's send it to myself as a test. And I'm going to send it to one of the emails that I have again. If I can add my name to the directory here if I wanted to, or if I was already in the directory, my client's in the directory, I would just start typing their name and it would auto-populate. Here's where I put the body of, or the subject of the email. So I'm going to go sample sign template. And here is where we type the message of the email. And I'm going to click next. On whose behalf is this coming from? It's coming from my name and my email. I can CC my transaction coordinator if I want to there. Now we're within the document, and the way I set it up is that the address, it's a text box controlled by myself, just so that the client's not typing it in and misses something. So I'll just type in something here. That's, of course, very dependent on how you set up your template. That's just how I chose to set up my template so that, again, I can control this scenario of the text box and I don't need my seller to worry about it. Okay, so see how I went through and I was changing all the addresses and I got to the end? It said, hey, Josh, you forgot to change the page number. I did that too because page numbers can be dependent. They can change depending on how much information is here. So again, this is very just file specific, nothing that you need to worry about. Of course, I'm filling that in wrong, but it doesn't really matter. Now it's been sent off. It's pending. So I see that it's been sent to this email, and that's the name that's going to be signing. I can, of course, click the pen button if there was a problem, if I filled out their email wrong, if I filled out their name wrong. And then after I do that, I typically click the send options and click resend. You can also click the void button. If you click void, you can void that document. It just cancels it. It sends them an email saying, hey, this document's been voided. Or I can void and correct. So that way it'll send them an email saying that document that was previously signed to you has been voided, but here's a new one that's been corrected. Please sign this one. Okay, so this has been sent to our email. Let's go to the email and see what it shows like for the end user. Okay, now we're back at the email that it's been sent to. So this was a template for a property disclosure statement. So let's click it and see what the client sees. They're going to see this Josh Wood has sent you a document. Here's the title of that template that I used, property disclosure statement, Strata, one seller. And here is the body of the email that I sent to them. I will click review and it will take that client to Real Signature, and they're going to agree with the terms and conditions here and click I agree, and now they can start. In the Real Signature walkthrough video, I went through a common mistake where they start initialing, but you have to instruct them, or hopefully they just get it, that you have to click the bouncing start button first. Now, this was the text again that I, as the agent, filled out, but they are going to put in the date of the disclosure, and now they can start filling out things. These are not required. So you have to explain to them that you have to start at the top and select which answer is appropriate. This one here is required. You can see that you moused over it. So that's where it's forcing them to initial. So they have to choose to initial these. Now, sometimes they forget this step and they just click these and it sends it to you. You'll have to send it to them again and explain how to do it. So it's best to just outline how it works before you send it to them. So they're going to select each initial that they want to and work through the document. You see that in this one, I actually selected both of them. So that's going to come sent to you as a yes and a no. You're going to have to correct that. So either crossing it out or deleting one, putting a white box over top of it. There's no way to uninitial something. So that's not a feature that's possible yet. Another issue that needs to be worked on is when you click an initial box, it takes you down to the next forced initial box. And it's like, no, that's not what I'm doing yet. I'm still up here. I'm initialing these not required boxes. So that's just a little hiccup that's in the system. So let's go through, let's say that this is done. I'm not going to go through these. There's like 100 different boxes, but they can enter in the information that they need to. They can click yes, and they can click all of these required boxes that I have required them to do. Here's a text box if they want to explain anything, explain why they answered yes to something. And they sign. If they miss something, it brings them up a bit. They missed an initial here. So anything that's forced, anything that's a required initial box or text box, date box, they will never be able to get to the end and click the finish button on the bottom until they've done it. But they may miss initialing yes or no to something and finish, because of course that's not required. Once the required buttons are all done, you see that you can actually go through and click yes or no, and it won't jump you around. So sometimes that's also a faster process, is say, do all the required information, go back to the top, and then start answering yes and no to answers. That can make the experience a little less jarring for the consumer. So let's just say it's done. We're happy with it. We click finish signing. And now it says you'll receive an email when all parties have signed. Because this is only one party signing, it'll be sent to them as a finished document, and it'll also be sent to you as a finished document in your email. It does take about a minute, sometimes a little bit less, for it to show up in your email. But also if you go to Real Signature and refresh the page, I'll be able to see that this is indeed done and signed, and I can download it quite quickly right there as a finished document. Now, another topic is, okay, I've created all these templates. I don't want to have to send 4 different emails to my client saying, sign this, now sign this, now sign this. Let's say I want to use this template I've created and this one and this one and this one and send it to my client. So all you do is you select check mark besides the docs, the templates that you're using, and then at the top right here, you create a packet or an envelope. It takes all those templates, puts it into an envelope, and you can send it out to your client for signing. Overall, it does save a lot of time, especially with something like property disclosure statements, where there's so many different yes and no text boxes and places to initial for that client. It saves you a lot of time in that you don't have to fill it out every single time. It is a little clunky in that required fields, it'll bounce you down to the next one. So that's the one hiccup that I'm still experiencing. And I've spoken with the devs, and I can say that I've spoken with the devs about many different things, and a lot of things have been ironed out and are being fixed as we move forward. It does continue to improve, and they are working on it actively. If I missed anything, or if you have any questions specifically about templates or Real Signature in general, feel free to reach out. And if you're considering joining Real, feel free to reach out and we can have a conversation about whether it would be a good fit for you and your business or not.